Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week it's part 2 of the Henrietta trolley saga. See you in a minute. Now, a couple of weeks ago I put some more substantial supports under the front of Hettie to do the rolling around in the garage, and that was for 2 reasons. Firstly and foremostly for safety, because I'd had a couple of near misses with it moving on its trolleys, and sooner or later it was going to move and take a finger off or something. Although there wasn't much fall, there was enough there to be able to trap yourself or hurt something. So we've solved that one, and I showed you the other week how I did that out of bits of old newel post. Now, it was slightly over-engineered, and there is an ulterior motive for that, and that is that I want to resurrect the arrangement that I had when I was doing the bus bunk bed. You may recall when I was painting that I put up a temporary 3x2 support network over the top of Hettie. Now, for reasons that have probably by now become apparent in building the cycle cart, I needed some more space, and the only space I could think in the garage was to actually work on top of Hettie, and obviously I wanted to make sure that that was A, again safe, and B, it wouldn't cause any damage to the car underneath. So I put in a couple of extra supports at the back of the legs supporting the front axles on that, and hopefully with the addition of a couple of threaded inserts in each one of those, I can bolt some uprights to those, and that will be the starting point, if you like, for the support work. So let's go in and have a look and see what I've got and how I think it might all go together. So, having built this front end support a couple of weeks ago, the intention for this part here was always to use it as a support for something, and at the time I was thinking 3x2 that would bolt to it temporarily, and then that would give me the height I needed to clear everything on Hettie and to be able to work on top and give it some protection. Now, it also happened that a couple of weeks ago we finally bit the bullet at Men in Sheds and got rid of some ping pong tables that we'd had donated to us that we didn't quite know what to do with, and we've decided to take the tops off them and use them as a wall by the entrance area and keep the machinery away from people coming in, which was good. And that took us a Friday morning, 4 or 5 of us, and the result of that was that there were some bits left over, and I grabbed 4 of the support legs, which are very nice, and they're beech, very strong and sturdy. They also, by the look of it, are about the right height. They enable me to clear all the top of Hettie, and without too much alteration, 2 of them will give me exactly what I want. I'm going to have to cut the one down over the far side, I think, to clear the wall at the top. Well, I don't know, we'll see. But I only need 1 metre wide anyway, so that shouldn't really be a problem. I don't really need the big overhangs here, but they will provide a good support at the front for some bearers to run towards the back, and then I can put some plywood or something sheeting over to give me a workspace. And at the back I'll probably adopt a similar principle. I'm just playing at the moment, but again, there's a trolley under the back of the car, just a single one, maybe a cross rail across bolted to those, and I'm hoping I won't need too much in the way of lateral support to stop it going that way. I think this at the front will be fine. I don't think there'll be any need for anything to stop that rocking, and that should stiffen the whole thing up anyway. but I think that's the starting point. We'll mark this up, drill a couple of holes, drill them right through into the end grain of the timbers there, put some threaded inserts in, and we're back onto the bolted arrangement that means it can be taken to pieces without too much trouble. Right, that gives me a, oh yes, that's really solid. Strong enough for me to lift me fat self up on it. Yeah. So I'm just going to trim those edges down a bit, but hopefully they will still be usable as left or right. So I've got a universal sort of bracket there for the, certainly for two of them, and I'll try and make sure that the ones at the back are all fixed in the same manner, so anything will screw to anything. So that's got the two front supports in, and probably all it will need is a cross piece with maybe some locating dowel or bolt through arrangement, and then I'll just move on to the back, and I've cut and measured and drilled all the back ones the same, so it's all interchangeable, and I've just got to decide whether or not I go narrower at the back and go from, for instance, there to the outside edge of the back ones, because the back tapers anyway. I'll only have to just make room to clear the exhaust pipes. There isn't one on that side at the moment. So with the silencers on, it gets wider, so I'll need to make provision for that. But I think if I can just do a bolt together across underneath the car, there's going to be enough support in this front to keep the whole thing rigid anyway, I think. We'll see when we get it all done, but next thing to do is to move on, clear a bit of space at the back and get that sorted. Right, so it's onto the back end now, and I've got a similar sort of arrangement with the wheel up on a trolley, but that one has suffered much more. As you can see, it's bent in the middle, so I'm going to need a bit of reinforcing there, I think, and probably to move it further forward so that we can then get a cross piece in, perhaps. But considering these things are rated at 250 kilograms and the car is less than 350, I think, and we're only holding the back up and the engine is in the front, that's not very convincing, I'm afraid. As a trolley, we might need to beef the whole thing up a bit. Now the mock-up chassis rig has served its purpose now. It's been repurposed from something I used to put a cover over the car with, and even then before that it was recycled timber. We made this out of it, and I'm now going to take it apart again, and hopefully we'll be able to recycle most of the timber in this again in the final cover over Hettie that we're using. So we'll just take it apart and see what we've got out of it. That's got the whole thing reduced to a heap of bits and pieces and a few screws. I don't normally recycle screws, but in this case I'll be using them again because it's something that won't matter that much. I will be putting some larger timbers, which I've got two of, as supports that way. Yeah, but that again will make the whole thing pretty rigid, and then I can just run boards across with some bearers made out of the rest of the 3x2 to bring me up to platform level. That'll give me my platform. After a bit of toing and froing and cutting things down and cutting things down, I've got to a point where it's an awful lot stronger than I thought it would be anyway. I might still put one diagonal brace in, but in all honesty the weight of anything on this will stop that leg having any likelihood of moving, and the whole thing is anchored really solidly because of the front being anchored to that front rail. But this is simplified it down no end. It's down to 4 bolts on this side to get it to this stage. So I'm just going to do the other side now, cut the head pieces down even further and move the car across slightly, and we can get the whole of this top deck surround in. Okay, so that's got me where I need to be with the platform. I've got 2 more panels to make. The one in the middle won't be carrying a lot of weight really, it's there more to keep things apart and stop stuff dropping down than anything. We've got about a 1.6 metre wheelbase, so that should bring the wheels pretty much to each end, and then the cart can hang out over the ends slightly anyway. The tables can go on. If I cut them 600 I should be fine, I think. And then put a couple of braces across, same as that one, but clamping that piece there. And I don't think I need any more than that. This will all lift off and go underneath the car when it's not in use. So I'm quite happy with that. We're just about there, I think. Make the 2 panels up tomorrow and rip some of this down when the weather's a bit better, and we can make a start on putting it together. Right, so that's got the platform in, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's going to be plenty strong enough to take the cycle cart load. We're talking about 100 kilograms at most, a couple of hundred weight, and certainly the legs are certainly up for it. Whether or not then there's any additional bracing needed underneath, I'll see when I get there. It's spread pretty much evenly over the 4 corners, and with a wheel at each corner, and something like probably 63% weight distribution. Most of it is down this end, if indeed I build the back at this end and the front at that. It doesn't really matter. Put an upstand on that one to stop it rolling off that way. I'll just need to put a pair of chocks or something that I can just temporarily stop it rolling off backwards that way, but I don't want it to be permanent because it's likely to be coming off that way when it's taken out. So that's it. Hope it was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be making something different. I think this demonstrates the ethos I've got about doing stuff whether you can or not, rather than making excuses why you can't do something. We have here effectively almost double the floor area of the garage to be able to do something, to get on with it. It's not ideal, it's not perfect, but it does enable me to do something that I couldn't do a week ago. So we can make a start on getting the cycle cart together. That will come in some of the Wednesday videos. But other than that, I'll see you next week. We'll try and do something different. I'll see you then. Bye.